short, you know. Hey guys, welcome to Real Talk. My name is Charles Stafford, and you are going to take a workout with me today. So bring your gym shoes, let's go. So for me, my usual target changes, which is the case for almost anybody as they go through their life. But for me, I'm always preparing for the next role. That's the season of time I find myself in. However, when I was working to get the physique that I wanted, that was a completely different regimen. But now it's all about the role. Do I need to have a more broad chest? Do I need to have broader shoulders? How shredded am I? How shredded am I not? That's kind of how I dictate my rhythm. But in general, you want to have 4 key lifts, 4 things that you do heavy, all right, with heavy velocity. This is just kind of a one-size-fit-all for the most part. And then cardio, a cardiac response in some type of way. This can be steps if you're trying to shred. It can be sprints as well if you're trying to shred. Overall heart health and mobility, you know, long distance running, treadmill, things like that. So if I'm not getting ready for a roll, it's maintaining whatever size I have with those 4 key lifts and some type of cardio response with my nutrition so I can stay at least 3 to 4 weeks away from any roll I need to do. In general, I'm in the gym lifting something at least 3 times a week. If I need to shred down and I have a very limited amount of time, if you're not like me, you're not needing to get down to 6% or 5% body fat for a movie in very little time, which is crazy. If it's more of a normal thing, you can get away with 2 times a week lifting heavy, okay, and getting your steps in. I am always playing usually some type of hero, and we want him to feel strong, usually. So as a result, I'm catching myself moving between the version that I am right now to varying degrees of shred. You know, I played a character who needed to be a little fluffier because we wanted him to feel more human, right? So I gained a little bit of body fat for that. I played characters that needed to be, again, 5% body fat, so I shredded down. If the character needs to be, you know, more aggressive looking, then I'll try to gain size in specific areas. If wanting him to look more towering, for example, then I'll try to gain a little bit of size, a 3D effect in the shoulder. I'll try to pack that a little thicker, as well as the top part of my chest. But almost always we want the guy to look strong, at the very least. Currently for me, the truth is my fitness goals rotate around helping other people, primarily. For me, it's about doing anything and everything I can do to kind of role model that, you know, to make those goals feel very attainable. So that's the honest truth, is I'm catching myself these years thinking a lot more about my clients, thinking about my friends and my family. And then also something that I'm thinking about a lot for me personally is obviously I want to maintain as much strength as I can unless the role calls me to get weaker. Then it's staying above average in strength, staying under 12% body fat, 11% body fat, and then primarily most of my goals, I'm thinking about my 60s, my 70s, and my 80s with my brain health, my heart health, my flexibility, things like that. Something that's been really integral to this time of life is, like I said, I base a lot of what my day-to-day looks like around what kind of role I'm getting ready to play aesthetically. So for example, that's always changing, okay? And in the vertical world, you know, we don't usually have 6 months to get ready for a role like you would find in like a film, you know, and the rest of Hollywood. So I always stay within striking distance of the role, but there have been many times, like for example, I felt like the character needed to be really shredded. For example, I did a movie called Taming the Lion, right? And I read the script and I thought, man, he is Shredtown USA. You know, he's a former addict. He's probably not eating enough. He's probably working out so much, eating tons of protein, but not getting enough calories in. So, and he smokes cigarettes, you know, he's a motorcycle guy. So I thought, oh, he is shredded. I look like this for that movie, and that was keep as much muscle mass as I could, shred down. I got to about 5% body fat for that, which was a lot of fun. And don't worry, I had a 5,000 calorie meal after the last shirtless shot of Chipotle, a pizza, and a tub of ice cream. Amen. And then I also, like on the other side, I did a film called Beggar King Returns, and we wanted him to feel more human, so I focused on losing a little bit of size in my shoulders, not much, because he still needed to feel like our hero. But then I worked to gain some healthy fat that got me up to about 13% body fat, and I looked about like this. Another example is somewhere in the middle, I did a chef show, which was so much fun, which was called The Billionaire's Bet. We wanted him to look like the shredded guy, but have a little more weight on him to be a little thicker, right? More like a wrestler. So I worked to have all the same muscle mass, all right, have a little bit of body fat, but a little bit of water underneath my skin. I know it's very specific, just so there was a human look to it, right? Not your, Chris Hemsworth, Henry Cavill, shirtless shot you prepare for many months. We wanted him to look like he looks like this all the time. So for me, acting is an art form. It's a form of storytelling. It's just a tool. And I'm very blessed at this time of life, just have years of experience to be able to move these things around like chess pieces and do it in a healthy way, which I would love to teach you. So today we're gonna hit chest, which is very important for the male physique, just looking more top heavy, which is also super important for most of these characters. So meet my buddy Steve. Everyone say hello, Steve. Don't try this at home, actually. If you have a home gym, then you should try it at home. Here we go. Top, 3. Two more. Up. 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 Come on. Up. So I would do that for about 5 sets. I wouldn't usually start. We're doing about 315 right now, which obviously it took time to build into that. But you want to do something heavy. If you're wanting a powerful, dominant chest, which a lot of these characters require, I make sure to always get heavy on my chest after 5 sets, hitting it at least for 5 reps. So that's what helps this happen. I had a director once tell me that he wanted me to look like I could tear a brick wall down, which is totally possible to do. Not really. So what I did was I tried to just accentuate all the muscle groups that are kind of the pretty stuff. Like for example, this anterior part of the tricep here, right? Or like for example, the top of the shoulder, that 3D effect. And then all the little kind of pretty parts of the back. That's not the main thing that's moving the weight around. It's the tricep, you're using mostly this guy. So it was, how do I accentuate this guy, right? How do I accentuate that guy? How do I make my waist look thinner, right? Which is really done by obviously diet, but then extending the reach of the back. So example of that would be isolating in a underhanded tricep extension to accentuate the outside. So for example, if I do normal, right, that's getting this part of the tricep a little bit more. But if I do underhanded, you see how that outside area kind of pops? Attach a breath to it. I'll do what I call a stimulus, where I'll exhale and squeeze that muscle for 1, Mississippi 2, Mississippi 3. 1, 2. And if you're watching it, you can see it's getting full of more and more blood. Yeah. Yeah, man. Son of a bleep that out. Bleep it out. Oh, damn it. Because it hurts like hell. Oh, don't tell my mother. Mom, I'm cussing on TV. It's not scripted. Anyway, seeing you can tell that that's a little bigger now than normal. So I'll do the same thing before a shot, all right? I'll spend many weeks building that muscle. So in a rested state, it still looks like more your massive meats cut. But then of course, right before shooting, I'll do dips, or I'll push my hands down on a table backwards. I probably look like such a dingus, just pushing my hands into a table like some idiot. But it's so I can get a pump out of these before we shoot. The biggest part of your arm is your tricep. So a bicep typically looks massive or bigger, right? Because you have a very large tricep. For me, I do always need the biceps to pop, because usually when we have a shirtless scene or something like that, it's that whole, you've all seen it, just very slow motion, everything's kind of rippling in the sun type of thing. So I'll focus on 3 different compounding movements, right? I'll do one of them for you here, and I'm focused on right in the middle, okay? So I'll choose a heavy weight. I'll go into what I call second position. Second position is where you have a slight arch in the bottom of your back, bent 45 forward, and I'll focus on doing a stimulus at the top. So blood is getting the archway right here, as well as the peak of the mountain right here. So that looks like, use your legs to pick up, straighten out, straighten your spine, plant your feet so the earth is grounded beneath you, and so are you. Slight knee bend, 45 forward, position 2. Exhale when you squeeze. I'll squeeze at the top, 2 seconds. down. Do it again. And you can see, I can't see it, but if it's working, there should be a bicep vein that's starting to pop. As you start to lose weight and get closer to lower percent body fat, you'll see that. My body's using all the glycogen that it has left from any carbs I've had and any fluid, and I'm focused on squeezing the top of that bicep. And if I've done my job, then, oh, there we go. If I've done my job, then I should have a slight pump at the top. Do that for 3 months. Hit your protein and focus on the form. I can't say enough how all this looks really pretty, I hope. But it's really the form. Form is king. If you want to look your best and it's about gaining muscle, it's form. It's form, it's form, it's form. And prayer, okay? Man, I have always looked up to a lot of men who have done such a great job of holistically looking otherworldly, but doing it in a holistic way. Like, I love how Henry Cavill does his stuff. I also know he eats burgers and drinks scotch and, you know, does all that stuff like I do and like I tell my clients that they can do. And then Chris Hemsworth would be another. Like, their physiques, just so good. No, but total man crushes on the fellas. I'd love to work with those guys one day. But a lot of how they do their stuff is how I've learned to do my stuff and teach it. The way that they work with their team and their coaches seek, it's just that really perfect male heroic physique. But then you find out that they know how to do it in a great way and still drink and eat and do all that fun stuff. Those would be my 2 role models. So Chris, Henry, they're on their way here. They should be here any minute, but we'll be wrapped before then, sadly. So anyway, it's real short, you know. All right, gonna do a couple back exercises. There we go. Really good for, again, if you want that wide base with your rib cage and your back so it makes your waist look thinner, right? Like right now, for example, I have a roll coming up in a month. So I have the size that I want. So the goal for the next 4 weeks is very simply to shred out more while maintaining this. And believe it or not, you can do that while still having cheeseburgers and alcohol. So hit me up if you want to know. Oh, you'll be just as winded as me, hopefully worse. Oh, brother. So for abs, generally any situation, just one more one-size-fit-all thing. If you can do a hanging ab, okay? Or if you're not quite strong enough to do a true hanging ab, whether, you know, start with the machines with assistants that take off weight, start on a ledge. You know, you don't have to do what I'm about to do, work into it. But for any physique, male, female, any aesthetic, this workout or some type of hanging ab workout where you are forced to stretch like this, all 3 layers of your core, whether you're trying to get, you know, like the individual abs that I have to have, or you're trying to get the washboard, you know, more lengthy looking abs, this workout works for all of that, okay? And will help you set up whatever core you're trying to achieve aesthetically later. So here's a good example of one. Okay, so extend out. I'll do underhanded. Extend up, squeeze. Just like that. And your hand grip can be almost anywhere. You just want to make sure that you're extended, okay? So it looks like this. Yeah. get you an amazing set of abs over time. I love you. I'm gonna go eat ice cream. Not really. I'm not gonna eat ice cream because I have a roll to get ready for. Real Shorts here. So thanks for coming, and I'll talk to you soon. Just dance. Okay, see you later, bye. So that's it. Thanks so much for joining me on this workout. If you're looking for help, you know where to find me, or at LCS Fitness.